Hey YouTube, it's Dimitri. Today we're going to work on getting this 289 out of the 1966 Ford Fairlane XL project here. Again, we're using a cheap engine hoist from Harbor Freight. I'll put a link in the description if you're curious. I'm not paid or anything, but it's been a great value, and I put a wood pallet, which you'll see here in a few minutes, on the bottom of the two legs just to set the engine. This makes it great for cleaning, wheeling it around. It's just a great platform in itself. But we're going to get this out of the garage here. And we're going to start by just covering the distributor cap. I couldn't figure out how to get this out. We ended up taking this out later in a future video. But we're just going to cover this here with a cheap plastic grocery store bag just so we don't get any water or cleaner or anything into that and ruin that. And then I've got some degreaser here that we're going to spray on the outside of the engine here just to get as much of the junk and gunk off of this. Again, car's been parked for, I don't know, 20 something years. Before that was driven pretty regularly as a regular driver by my parents. And so it really does need to get cleaned out. And after we coat this thing in degreaser, we're going to let it sit for about 20-30 minutes. And then you'll see here, I'm going to use a toothbrush and of course a baby monitor to keep track of my kids. But we're going to use a toothbrush here and we're going to scrub down as much of the thick, greasy, oily spots as we can. You'll see the transmission here itself is quite gross and disgusting as well. And then finally, we're just going to use a hose here and just spray off as much of it as we can. A power washer would be even better, but I don't really want to force too much water into this engine. I don't know if there's any leaks or anything else in it. Also, I'm just a little bit lazy here and don't want to pull out more of the equipment than needed. But we will use an air hose here at the end just to kind of get as much of the water off the engine and out of the little nooks and crannies so that we can do a teardown here. And then finally, we're going to start taking it apart. So we're going to see if we can just get this transmission off the back of the engine. The engine itself spins when it's on this engine lift itself. So I'm going to use a piece of cheap plywood here. You can see just to kind of hold the back end of it. And we're just going to unscrew the bell housing. I do use a plastic mallet to try to separate this just to get the housing itself off. And then I realized partway through I need to get this starter out of the way as well. So we're going to strip this starter down off the engine. And then you'll see here I'll just kind of pull and use that plastic mallet and just hammer and tap around the outside until that bell housing just falls off. All right, and now once we get the transmission kind of moved off to the side a little bit here, we're going to see if we can just get the engine torn down a little bit more before we move the block inside onto an actual engine stand. And so I screwed around with this over an hour, way longer than I wanted to. But all you really need to do to get the engine torn down is just get all of the hoses off, get the accessories off, and get the valve covers off. And so I spent a long time kind of tapping on things, getting some rusty hose clamps off. And then finally, after I got these valve covers off and most of the hoses, then I got the manifold off here in the middle, and everything started to go a lot quicker at that point. And then I just focused on getting off the accessories on the front. So getting the brackets off and getting some of these parts just kind of out of the way. And then this final wheel here, which is hooked to the crank, will not come off. You need to actually go in the shop and take the engine apart to get it out, if I remember correctly here. And so we end up getting this engine put back into the shop. I mount it to this engine mount from Harbor Freight, which is pretty cheap and unlevel, which is a little frustrating. But hey, you get what you pay for. And so you take off the oil pan, and underneath the oil pan, you're going to see this, which is the bottom end of the engine. So it's going to be the crank, and the bottom is where the pistons are all hooked on. You'll notice here as well, I took a marker ink pen, like a paint pen, and I marked on every single rod, as well as all the brackets that hold all these in, the crank in itself. Because on an older engine specifically, as it's worn and stuff, the shapes and the patterns of the wears aren't going to match across this. If I do end up reusing this engine and I swap like some of these brackets or mounts or even pistons or something, I might end up with some sort of vibration in the engine. It will drive me absolutely insane, even if it's functional, even if it's fine. And also it could damage something if perhaps it's not off quite, right, or doesn't quite match up the way it should. And there's a gap and there's an issue, something else. So if you're going to do this, go ahead and mark it like I did with a paint pen. And then we're just going to go through here and take off each of the brackets using a plastic mallet, carefully tapping these off, and then undoing the bottoms here of each piston itself. You might have to turn the crank a little bit to get access to all the bolts that you need to. And then, as I mentioned before, this little piece here on the crank isn't going to come off. So we're going to use a special extractor tool. We're going to tighten her down here, and we're going to crank it off just with a wrench, with a bar here, a breaker bar. There's no really reason to do anything else. You don't need an impact drive or anything like that. And then once we pop that off here, we're just going to carefully go and take off the bottoms of the pistons that hold it to the crank. Again, nothing is too crazily worn in here, at least not from what I realize at this point of doing the engine. Later on, I find out some more information about the wear on it. But I want to be careful not to scratch the walls, have a piston fall out. They all seem fine. I don't see any danger of these dropping out when I'm taking the bottoms off. So we're just going to carefully take all of these off. Take this cover off as well. And then we're going to loosen this bearing here. And I did need an impact driver to get it off. And then carefully pry off this bottom gear. And as soon as that bottom gear pops off, I just took out the crank off the top as well. And then we're just going to carefully pull the pistons out of the block itself. Now I've got a rag because I want to tap these down through the block, but I'm going to tell you, when you do this, you don't want the rod itself to scratch the cylinders. You might cause more damage that's harder to fix later on. You don't want to do that. So either pull them out through the top, through the bottom of the engine here, like pull them up towards me where I'm doing this, or use a mallet and carefully tap them. But you got to really hold on to the rod and put a rag around it so if it does slip, which I do have a few that slip and kind of pop out of here a little quick, you have a rag around it so it doesn't damage the cylinders as they go through. And then we're going to turn the engine over here. We're just going to pop out all of the actual rods themselves from the engine. And there are these little cylinders in here as well that hold it. They're really just held in by the oil pressure kind of around the metal itself, and it fits so tight. When you pull them, there's like suction to pull them back in a bit. Some of them might fall out, but most of them are going to be suctioned in. You're just going to grab a pair of pliers here and just carefully pull these out. And there's going to be 16 of these in total, one for the intake, one for the exhaust for each piston here, each cylinder. And then finally, as the last step, you can actually pull out the camshaft here. So this is a lot of work to get to this. I've often wondered about swapping out, just swap out that top end and put a new cam in there. Yeah, getting to the cam is a little bit of a challenge and quite a bit of work to actually do it. And then finally, I'm just going to take a scraper here and clean the block up a bit. The final step of this is I need to take it to a shop. But we took it to a shop, and unfortunately is over 0.004 or whatever for the clearance there. Some of them were like 6 or 8 out, so 0.06 or 0.08 out from the standard stock. The guy that I took it to wanted to know if I wanted to put a sleeve in there. No, I do not want to put a sleeve in there. And so we're going to end up going with a blueprint engine. So surprise, I don't have a video on this yet, but I'm going to go get a blueprint engine with a freshly cast block. And they do not make 289s. This really took an emotional blow on me because I wanted to keep this as stock as possible to the original, do kind of a resto mod. So I'm not like, do or die making it matching numbers, which matching numbers weren't a thing in 66 on the Fords. But anyways, trying to keep this car as close to factory as possible. 302 is close enough, but I would like to have some fun with it. I really want to get a lot of good use out of the car and enjoy just driving it around, really to kind of a little bit of tribute to my dad and to my grandfather as well, who both worked on this car, owned the car, and drove the car. But that's kind of it. That is the teardown here of the engine, and that's really what's going to end up happening with this. It's just going to get parked here in my garage now for months on end as I go down and actually buy that 302 and try to figure out what I'm going to do with this extra block. So if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. There will be more future updates as we do this rebuild. And as always, until next time.